I see it, I like it, I bought it. Isn't that a TikTok thing? I'm sure you'll be able to tell throughout this video that my energy levels have tanked today, but we keep going. Hello, I'm Charlotte and this is Books and Bargains. So this project started out as a little thing in my head about a week ago, and I've been putting it off filming because there's a massive stack of books here. So let me start by saying that this started off, I thought, I wonder which books have been on my TBR the longest, and so I started flicking through videos from 2019. Yeah, let me just play you some of those. So there are a few gems of me not long after I'd shaved my hair. I mean, 2019 is what, 4 years ago now? More like 3.5 because I started my channel in June. But when I first started my channel, I did a lot of book hauls because I was just in this place of absolutely loving hauling books, and I still do. But back then there was a charity shop that I went to very often with 10p books and I couldn't resist. These days I don't get out so much, so therefore I haul less books. However, I did not expect, I think I counted like 40 books here that have been on my TBR since then. So I thought I would do a trash my TBR video. So I basically want to whittle these books down. Unless you gave these books 5-star, I don't need to hear about books that you just liked. I'm intrigued enough to pick all of these books up. That is why they are still here. They survived house move. They've survived countless unhauls. What I really want to know is if you would trash any of these books. If there are any of these books that you are like, Charlotte, you are not going to like that book, put it out in the recycling right now. That's what I really want to hear. So we'll start with a stack of books from authors that I have read before. And the first one of these is This Love by Danny Atkins. I have read Our Song by Danny Atkins, which I absolutely loved. As you can see, this was £1 from British Heart Foundation. And I don't want to spend all day talking about each of these books because we've got a few to get through, but I picked that up on a whim of the cover and don't know why I haven't read it yet. Now, secondly, we have Summer at Hope Meadows by Lucy Daniels. I actually think that one of the other Lucy Daniels books is the one that's actually in the hauls, if we're being pedantic, but this is the first in the series, so I don't want to read a later one in the series just because I hauled it first. But I read all of the Animal Arc books when I was growing up, and apparently this is grown-up Mandy Hope, so yeah, really intrigued by that one. I then have Leanne Moriarty's Truly Madly Deeply, and I know, oh sorry, no, Truly Madly Guilty. I think I made the same mistake in the haul when I first hauled this, but this one, I know why I've been put off picking this one up. I've read 2 Leanne Moriarty's. I read Big Little Lies, which I absolutely loved, and I have read 9 Perfect Strangers, which I thought was absolute trash. So do I carry on with Leanne Moriarty or do I give up? The next book is Anatomy of a Scandal, and I really should get to this soon, as last year I read Reputation by Sarah Vaughan, and that ended up being my, I think, #1 mystery/thriller of 2022. But this is the original Sarah Vaughan, I believe, and haven't picked it up yet. I then have Her Name Was Rose by Claire Allen, and this is very reminiscent of the time that this was published, when all thrillers seem to be this kind of darker background with fluorescent colours on it. I have read, have I read 3? No, I think I've read 2 Claire Allens now. I've read The Nurse and After Dark, both of which I loved, both of which I gave 5 stars. So again, why have I not picked this one up? On the same vein as the Leanne Moriarty, I have No Escape by Lucy Clark, and Lucy Clark has been a hit and miss author for me. I absolutely loved You Let Me In and I gave that 5 stars. Completely couldn't put it down. Then Castaways happened, and Castaways was possibly the worst thriller that I've ever read. It was just trash, absolute trash. And then I read one more. What did I read? I read last year's one, and I'm currently reading The Hike, which have both been kind of enjoyable, kept me reading, but I'm really on the fence about. So tell me, do I read this one or do I trash it? The next book is Wrecked by Charlotte Roche, and this is one of the ones that I think you guys are probably going to trash, but I'm probably going to hold on to it and read it anyway. If you have read Wetlands by Charlotte Roche, really, really weird book, and I'm hoping for more of the same from this one. I feel like a broken record here, but I don't know why I haven't got to this one yet. I then have Alice Peterson's If You Were Here. One of the books that I absolutely loved before I started BookTube was A Song for Tomorrow by Alice Peterson, and that is one that I really want to do a reread of. So I picked this book up because of the author, but actually I'm just not sure. The blurb doesn't really appeal to me, but I know how much I loved A Song for Tomorrow, so maybe, who knows. I then have That Girl from Nowhere by Dorothy Comson. When I was moving house, I actually unhauled most of my unread Dorothy Comson women's fiction. I hate that term, but that is just what is used at the moment, because I loved The Ice Cream Girls, but I started trying to read one of her more women's fiction titles and I didn't really enjoy it. But That Girl from Nowhere is about a child that was, it says Clemency Smithson was adopted as a baby, and the only connection she has to her birth mother is a cardboard box hand decorated with butterflies. Now, if you know me at all, I am an adopted child. I have met birth siblings, but not my birth mother at this moment in time, and so I think I really want to read this, really want to love it, but I'm also a little bit scared of it. And then 2 books that I'm really not sure whether to just unhaul straight away are these 2 Sophie Kinsellas. I've got I Owe You One and Surprise Me. Now, I mentioned recently in a video that I used to absolutely love Sophie Kinsella. Loved the Shopaholic series. Tried last year to read the Christmas Shopaholic and just really didn't enjoy it, and I didn't know if I just don't enjoy the author anymore. However, I did read My Not So Perfect Life a couple of years ago and enjoyed that one, and these are, I believe, let me see when these were published. So these were published in 2018 and 2019, so I'm hoping that a lot of the diet culture, fat phobia that I really had to grit my teeth at when I've tried to reread the Shopaholic books may be gone. But again, I'm just not sure. I think there are more women's fiction authors and romance authors that I love a lot more, so I don't know whether these are just taking up space on my shelf. The next lot of books are all ones that I haven't read from these authors before, and if there's a story behind why I bought them, I'll let you know, but generally it's just that I see a book, I like it, I buy it. So I have Vanessa Green's The Vintage Teacup Club, and this is one that has been almost unhauled plenty of times, and then every time I read the blurb I just can't let it go. So it is a heartwarming story of finding new friends. It's a debut book, and the first line is just at a car boot sale in Sussex, and I'm sold on that. But it says 3 very different women meet and fall for the same vintage tea set. They decide to share it, a form of friendship that changes their lives. And I just thought that this was possibly a more kind of Sisterhood of the Travelling Pants type vibe, but yeah, never seen anybody talk about that on BookTube. So if you have read it, this is one that I will let you give me gushing reviews, middle of the road reviews and bad reviews. I don't mind. I will take anything on this one. I then have Firefly Lane, which I believe was sent to me as part of a bookish swap group. I know nothing about it. I don't think I've even read the blurb. Now, I think the thing that puts me off this one is that it's a historical-ish fiction, and I'm just not sure. So gushing reviews, 1 star and 5 stars only for this one, please. I then have The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and again, I don't know why I haven't picked this one up yet. Another one that has almost been on hold a couple of times, and that is A Cornish Summer by Catherine Elliott. We were supposed to read this one as part of my Patreon book club, but I had to shut that down due to circumstances beyond my control, let's say, and I've held on to it. Again, Catherine Elliott isn't an author that I've heard a lot about on BookTube, so would love to know whether I trash that or keep it on my TBR. One that I'm pretty sure you're all going to tell me to keep and is recently being made into a film is A Man Called Ove, or A Man Called Uwe, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, by Frederick Backman. I haven't read Frederick Backman yet. It's quite a small book, so I don't know what my issue is here, but I think I probably will read this one this year unless you all completely trash it, as one of the prompts on the Pop Sugar Challenge is a book that's being made into a movie, so this could fit that perfectly. The next one is one that I have watched on Netflix several times, and that is Dumpling by Julie Murphy. I don't know whether I'll get more from the book, having already watched the series. So yeah, I'm leaving that one in you guys' hands. I have a total cover buy here, and that is Model Undercover, A Crime of Fashion by Karina Axelson. What can I say about it? Again, it's YA. I don't read much YA anymore, and I have almost unhauled this a few times, but there is just something drawing me into this one. Now, the next 3 have something in common. First one is a total cover buy. Second 2 are definitely BookTube made me buy it, but all 3 have been hanging around on my TBR because I want the full set before I read them, and haven't found the second and third books in a charity shop yet. I know that might sound silly, but I'm such a binge reader that especially when fantasy's involved, I think because I read so many books in a year, that if I read a book and then the next book isn't out yet, by the time I come to read the second book, I need to reread the first book, and I'm not really a rereader. I'm trying this year. I've been really enjoying my Brown Sisters rereads. But anyway, this one, total cover buy. This is Ink by Alice Broadway. As you can see, it still has the sticker on. That was 25p from La Rosse. And yeah, shall I just read it, and then if I enjoy it, I'll just buy the next one offline? Or do I send this back to the charity shops? Same with Caraval. This has got these beautiful sprayed edges, and this was everybody was talking about it on BookTube. I saw it in a charity shop for 10p, I think this one was, so I had to have it. And the same with Scythe. I heard such good things. This was all over BookTube, but I haven't read it yet, so am I going to pick it up? Who really knows? Another BookTube made me buy it is The Chalk Man by CJ Tudor. I haven't read any CJ Tudor, and I think I have... Do I have another? Yeah, I think I have The Taking of Annie Thorne as well. I'm put off by the fact that it says, if you like my stuff, you'll like this, by Stephen King, because I find Stephen King books A, boring, and B, completely overwritten. I'm sure it's when we're on holiday, Stacey said to me, like, Stephen King is the master of, if he could just write, I walk down the street, he will say, I triumphantly walked down the pavement of this concrete jungle that we call a street, and like will make everything from a simple sentence into just going nowhere. So yeah, unpopular opinion, I get bored stiff by Stephen King. Do you think I would like this? And then another total Bookstagram made me buy it, BookTube made me buy it, is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Haven't read any Erin Morgenstern. I think I have The Starless Sea as well somewhere on my TBR. Am I gonna like these? You guys seem to know my reading taste more than I do, so I'm begging for your advice here. Right, we're down to the last little stack now. So then 2 that are in no way related really, apart from they are both about midwives. I have The Secrets of Midwives and The Midwife's Confessions by Diane Chamberlain. Have any of you heard of either of these? I went through a real stage when I was on my interruption from my nursing of reading and collecting anything to do with nursing, midwifery, health, any of them, and then just not reading them. So do I want to read either of those books? You tell me. The next book is a chunk of a book, and that is Jodie Picoult's House Rules. Now, I am really, really interested in this because it says, your son is accused of murder. You fear he might be guilty. What would you do? And it has, I think the son has learning disabilities. Yeah, he has Asperger's syndrome. So I want to see how that is represented within the book, whether it's done well. I've heard that Jodie Picoult is a fantastic author, but I have already tried a Jodie Picoult, which was The Book of Two Ways, I believe, which was all about ancient Egypt, and it just went straight over my head and I ended up DNFing it. But this book is 603 pages long. So is it gonna take me far too long to get into it, or am I just gonna love it? I don't know. Next I have The Rumour by Leslie Cara. I was on a real domestic type thriller kind of binge at the time. I read a couple of Caroline Corcoran's books, which I didn't like. I read Big Little Lies, which I loved. And yeah, I was just really into these friendship groups of kind of horrible people, and you know that one of them's going to get murdered and you don't know why. A book that I did really enjoy along that theme is The Festival by Sarah J. Norton, and I think I picked this up thinking it was the same author, but it's not. Her book The Mothers has a very kind of similar premise and similar cover. So yeah, again, I probably picked that up because of the sprayed edges. Now I have to apologise because this one was sent to me as a Christmas present, and I've got the note in the front and it says, maybe we could buddy read this. That was from Found by Books. Well, if you're watching and you haven't read this one, reach out to me. Maybe we can still buddy read it, but you're probably a much better person than me and actually read your TBR. So, never read a Ruth Jones. I obviously read a lot of romance, women's fiction. Is she an author for me? I would presume that as Ruth Jones is a woman in a larger body, this wouldn't have any of that over fat phobia, but never say never. I think this matches perfectly there, look. Ooh, we are getting there. I feel like I've been rambling. I don't want to go too fast with this, but I also don't want to go too slow because nobody needs to watch an hour of me talking about why I haven't read books. This next one will definitely be controversial, and that is Pet by Akwaeke Emezi. I have started reading this about 4 times. This came to me in a bookish subscription box. Because I know that it's such a loved book, I want to love it. But every time I try and read it, I just can't get into it. And for ages I've been saying, it's not you, it's me. But you've been here nearly 4 years now and I haven't read you. And you are only just over 200 pages. So maybe this should be one of those kind of, this book will self-destruct, because if I don't read it soon, it may as well go to a better place, probably to Victoria's classroom, and someone may as well get use out of it. The next is The Power by Naomi Alderman. Now I've kept this because I've seen a few places that this is better than Vox. I had both this and Vox on my TBR. Vox is gone. And yet I still haven't read this. I really need to make myself read these books. So what I am going to do after this video, I'm going to write all their names and put them in a tin and pick one out each month that I have 30 days to read it, or it self-destructs. So any that you tell me to unhaul straight away, if I get them out the tin, I'll just move on to the next one. So yeah, I think I was drawn into this one as well because it was published at the University of Leicester, and big up Leicester. So the next one is Overdrawn by NJ Krosky. I have this because Tom read it, said it was fantastic and passed it on to me, and I still haven't read it. He said that I would really appreciate the kind of medical themes in it and the chronic illness representation. but I don't know. I then have The Book Ninja by Ali Berg and Michelle Callas. I bought this not long after reading The Bookish Life of Nina Hill because I went on a real kick of buying books about books and then just not reading them. I then have Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nagan. I added this to a wish list when I was in my loving YA fantasy kick, which didn't last very long, but there's just something about this one that every time I've gone to take it off my TBR, it ends up staying. Like I said, with all of these books, there's obviously something that's intriguing me enough to keep them, but not intriguing me enough that I immediately pick them up. And the last one, I would like to personally apologise to Victoria for not reading this yet, because I don't know what it is that's stopping me, but that's The Handmaid's Tale. And obviously Margaret Atwood and Victoria are like, I was going to say like chalk and cheese. That's not what I'm thinking of. Like, I don't even know what I'm thinking. Basically, Victoria loves Margaret Atwood. And I have loved any of the kind of weird dystopian-y things that Victoria has recommended to me. I loved Only Ever Yours. I loved The Farm. And I don't know why then I haven't just gone to the kind of source of this and read The Handmaid's Tale. Again, I could read this again for the Pop Sugar prompt of a TV show / movie. And I don't know what happened. So yeah. So there you go. They are all the books that I hauled in 2019 and are still on my TBR. If you've enjoyed this video, please let me know below and let me know which of these books that I should trash, or any of these that you gave 5 stars to, or just let me know, even if there's one that you loved but you think that I personally won't love, again, let me know. I have enjoyed sitting and talking to you. This has been my first sit down video in a long time, so I hope that it wasn't too rambly. And until next time, look after yourselves. Bye.